Since the mid-1920s, actors and other performers have been forming groups in order to jointly bargain, or collectively bargain as we call it now, deals, their contracts, etc. The performers actually needed a way to ensure fair treatment and pay. And in 1933, the formation of the Screen Actors Guild happened. It came out of another form or another group at the time, and like many guilds of that day and age, it was by invitation only. You had to be part of the club. It wasn't until later that it was expanded and its roster went from 80 members up to several thousand. But beyond the guilds of Hollywood, there is an actual older group. It's been with us longer, like since 1886. The American Federation of Musicians is what it's called, and like all other organizations, their goals were simple: fair treatment, pay. Now, it seems the Musicians Union is going to find themselves going the way of the other entertainment unions and is cutting back the support of their members. You heard me right. Let's talk about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino!
In certain fields of work, unions formed to bring their members living benefits. Now, there were many industries that needed collaborative power and leadership to help workers achieve fair treatment and pay. You're going to hear me say that an awful lot during the course of this editorial. Many of these industries had health and safety issues at the forefront of, the jobs that, that these union members performed. So they needed something. They needed something to represent them and their health and safety, in addition to their pay. Always comes back to pay. Now, I know we can't argue that the entertainers deal with a daily challenge of health and safety to their lives, although there are some performers, obviously, that do. Yet the formation and existence of their unions was key to making inroads towards fair pay and treatment. They needed it. They were being overutilized, let's say. So much so, in fact, that many of these unions ended up being quite flush in the cash department from the 1950s onwards. A lot of that came about because of a president in the late 40s, but again, they were in really good financial shape. And as I mentioned months ago, SAG-AFTRA, also known as the Screen Actors Guild, and their associated companion guild, there we go, is going through a massive change in their benefits to their members. What I didn't follow up on, actually, at the time, was the story that hit about mid-December about a lawsuit that was filed in regards to their proposed action. It seems that Ed Asner, the well-known curmudgeon both on and off the screen, took note of the story that I had reported back a ways as well. In fact, the 91-year-old actor has filed suit over the healthcare coverage changes that's going to be eliminating 11,750 participants. That's a huge number of people, but 2/3 of those folks are seniors. So seniors, of course, are a group that all unions swear to protect. I mean, that's the whole point of getting involved in a pension fund. So the primary claim here for Ed Asner is age discrimination. And I don't think he's wrong, but what good old Ed here doesn't realize is that he stumbled upon one of the primary problems with unions, at least modern day unions. They cease to operate in their members' best interests. Now, in this case specifically, paying members are being shunted over from their group health care plan, which is quite good, to the lesser affordable care public plan that the government created to give everybody coverage. As an aside, not everybody is covered still, but that's not the kind of story that I cover on my channel, so I'm sure other people can talk about that. The Musicians Union now, however, is following suit in its own way. In fact, I'll argue it's even worse. From the headline, and this is from Deadline, Musicians Union Pension Fund again. note the word again, seeks okay from Treasury Department to cut benefits to prevent insolvency within 20 years. Now, let that sink in for a minute. Based on their projections, they could be insolvent. Where did all the money go? Right now, the Musicians Union has $1.8 billion in assets. Now, its current liabilities are $3 billion. So, right now, they're sitting $1.2 billion short. How? Well, if the government approves this plan made possible by the Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act, yes, the government made it legal for organizations to skip out on their responsibilities, 45% of pensioners under the age of 80 will be most affected. Of course, they're not touching anybody over 80, which they won't be around for very much longer, so that makes a lot of sense. But the language here is disturbing, and the information around it is a little bit sketchy. More of the nest egg that you would count on as a person who paid into this guild could be swept away with government approval, mind you. I see that as a problem. Now, consider this. This isn't a record company that's taking away your royalties. It's the union that you paid into for a long period of time and the scheme that you paid into so you could have a tidy retirement nest egg that was set off to the side to take care of you in your older years. By the way, they do actually call their pension a scheme. I actually found that amusing, even though it's the proper word usage. I just think sometimes scheme, to me, has a negative connotation, but that's an aside. Anyway, Deadlight put together this handy chart here. Now, I'm not sure why they put together this handy chart here. Maybe it was to illustrate that 7% of those folks who are the youngest and wealthiest are losing up to 40% of their benefits. Yikes. If I were between the ages of 70 and 80, I'd be really unhappy also, because any reduction, even if it's, what they say 0 to 9% on the chart, that's a tough blow. I mean, imagine having up to 10% of your income cut right out from under you, because believe it or not, a pension is a form of income, as is healthcare benefits and things like that. That's a form of compensation that was negotiated for and promised. Anyway, what's worse here is the claims that the guild was actually hiding this issue for quite some time. Multiple depositions that were part of a court case that was filed have been made public, and those depositions against the fund are coming from the trustees. Now, this has apparently been an issue since 2017 or before that, and the case was settled about October 2020, even though a decision was made all the way back in March. How many of you heard of that? Not many. But the amount that was awarded was $26.8 million. Now, I really don't know how the $26.8 million is going to help. Again, this is related to what they call risky investments, but I don't know, seems a little odd. Of course, there are larger points to be made out there, and there are huge questions to be asked almost every single time with any of these stories. As the unions, of course, I've mentioned in this editorial, are part of much larger organizations. These unions are, AFL-CIO possibly, or something larger. There are many organizations out there that they're affiliated with that were much, much larger entities. Now, I have to ask these questions like, how much of these smaller unions' capital actually ends up outside of their organizations? And do any of these pension fund monies end up outside of the organizations and not actually involved in the pensioner fund? Don't know. How much goes to funding campaigns of various types? Don't know. What is the compensation for each level of posting in these positions of these unions or at these, positions of trust in these funds? How much is the compensation there? Don't know. Strangely, these are the same questions that I ask about charitable organizations. And actually, we all ask these questions of charitable organizations, and we have several groups that track it because they operate under the same 501c part of corporation that allows them to exist and go essentially tax-free. Well, why aren't we asking the same here? Because we should be. Anyway, there are so many questions to be answered, and I don't really have the time to go into them right now. These videos are usually about 10 minutes long. So thank you for joining me to talk about this short editorial piece on the Musicians Guild and the other unions as well. I just wanted everybody to be informed and to start asking their own questions when it comes to some of these organizations. Please use the comment section below to, interact with me because I like the banter, but also it does help with the algorithm. I mean, even if you say no comment in the comments, it counts. So, but do as you will. I truly appreciate it. And again, thanks for joining me. Be sure to support other independent creators here on the platform. They certainly do need your support. In fact, they count on it. They don't have the apparatus, and neither do I, that the large media entities do, that seem to be being favored right now on this platform. Now, there are some other options, and people are definitely exploring those. I can't say that I am not, but for the time being, this is the largest dog out there. So, make sure you take 2, 3, 4, 5 of those people, 10, 20, 30, 40, as many as you can manage, and give them as much support as you possibly can. I do appreciate it. They'll appreciate it. Also, check out the new channel that we just launched, La Gaming Lounge. Starting this week, you should start to see regular content on that channel from all of the channel's participants. There are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of us that are going to be providing gaming news, gaming reviews, conversations about what's available as far as indie games, etc., etc. So do check that out. Other than that, I'll close the video like I always do and just say this. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.